Today's lesson is called When Idioms Are in Season. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff.
And my name is Helen.
During part 1 of our lesson, I mentioned how these idioms are seasonal. Now, that does not mean that you can only get them in a particular season, okay? But you can use this word seasonal to describe something like this, okay? Very often now, when you go to restaurants, fancy restaurants will have seasonal ingredients. They'll be using what's in season in that area at that time for ingredients. It's kind of a big deal these days. So you can either say that those ingredients are in season or that they are seasonal. But yes, idioms, they don't grow on trees. They can't be harvested or anything like that. So when we say idioms are in season or that they're seasonal, we're just saying, oh, these idioms have something to do with, I should say, they have something to do with the seasons. That's what's going on here.
Right. So in the previous lesson, we looked at spring and summer. We looked at those two seasons and how they appear in idioms in English. And we know for a fact that seasons are important to us because they appear so many times in English idioms. And in fact, idioms are a good way to find out about what is important to a particular culture, the people of a particular country, because you will find idioms, a lot of idioms about a particular topic. So for instance, in English, we also have idioms about money. So it's not only seasons, but we have money idioms, we have color idioms. So if you look at the idioms of a particular language, you can more or less get an idea of what's important to the people that speak that language.
There you have it. Anyways, folks, today, yes, we are going to be covering autumn and then also winter. Before we talked about spring chickens and Indian summer and stuff like that. But hey, those seasons are now in the past. It's time for us to move on and cover the other two seasons, and we'll start doing so right after this.
As we roll around to fall, also known as autumn, the year has grown older, and the idioms reflect that. Describing someone as being in their autumn years means that they have passed middle age and are most likely retired. Another idiom with the same meaning is golden years, which is easy to remember if you think of fall as the season when leaves turn golden before they drop from the trees.
各位好，第一部分我们看到单字 reflect， 这个字是动词，指反应、表达。例如The different languages being spoken in the meeting room reflected the many different cultures being represented at the company. 会议室里使用不同语言，反映出这间公司呈现多元文化。另外补充相关片语 reflect on 可以用来指深思、反省。我们可以说 Looking up at the stars last night, I reflected upon how big the universe really is.昨晚仰望星空，让我想到宇宙是如此的浩瀚。再来，我们看到动词 retire， 指退休，像是 After my mother retired from banking, she didn't know what to do with all of her free time. 在我妈妈从银行退休后，她不知道她所有的空闲时间该做什么。另外，补充这个字的名词 retirement， retirement。Retirement 意思是退休生活。例如 After retirement, Max plans to spend his time fishing. Max 退休之后计划钓鱼度日。
So let's get right into today's lesson, and we're going to talk about autumn. And it says here, as we roll around to fall, also known as autumn, the year has grown older and the idioms reflect that. So we're talking about fall, and another word for fall is autumn. So this is the only season that has two different words to represent it. And autumn does represent the year getting older. We have spring that represents renewal, birth, new life, and summer, which is the peak of life when everything is thriving and growing and healthy. And autumn marks that time of the year when things aren't so healthy anymore. They're starting to fade. Colors are starting to fade. people are starting to get old and things are just declining overall. So idioms reflect this characteristic of fall. And here, to reflect something is to show the nature of something. So I could say his taste in music reflects his age. So if somebody is interested in, let's say, 1920s, 1930s music, jazz, then that might reflect the fact that that person is of a particular age, although that's not always true. But sometimes a person's taste could reflect aspects of that person. Let's continue with the lesson. The next sentence says, describing someone as being in their autumn years means that they have passed middle age and are most likely retired. So if you say that someone is in his or her autumn years, it most likely means that this person is around 60, 65 years old, and they are around the age where they are retired. Retired means to stop working, especially when you're officially too old to work, and you can get retirement benefits. You can get money from the government. So, in terms of idioms, someone who is in his autumn years is probably someone who is about to retire or has already retired.
There you go. If you're in your autumn years or in the autumn of your life, sometimes people say that as well. That means you're getting older, one, and yes, you're most likely retired. And by the way, if you are super rich, you might be able to retire when you're like 30 years old. So, oh yeah, I made a fortune in software and now I can retire even though I'm only 28, okay? That could happen. You could make $100 million or something like that and say, I just don't want to work anymore. Now, another idiom with the same meaning is golden years, which is easy to remember if you think of fall as the season when leaves turn golden before they drop from the trees. So yes, during the fall, during the autumn, those green leaves on the trees there, they change color, red, yellow, orange, and also gold. So sometimes people associate autumn with death and dying and winter is coming. Oh no, but there are nice aspects to it as well. So here when we're talking about your golden years, yes, you're aging, you're entering retirement, but these years might be the best years of your life as well. You call them your golden years. You're older, but just like those leaves dying and falling off the trees there, before they do die, they become spectacularly beautiful and golden, wonderfully beautiful years. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be talking about winter.
Winter heralds the end of the year, when the weather turns icy and things slowly begin to die. If we talk about the dead of winter, we are referring to the middle of the season, when it's especially cold and dark. At such times, perhaps you feel snowed under? Imagine tasks being piled on top of you like heavy snow, and you'll remember that the phrase means the sensation of being overwhelmed with work.
第二部分我们看到单字 herald 这个字是动词，指预告、预示点点点的来临。举例来说 Next year's presidential election heralds a new era is coming. 明年的总统大选预告着新世代的来临。接着我们看到一个名词 sensation 指感觉、知觉。例如 The cream gave my skin a warm sensation when I rubbed it on my arm. 当我把这个乳液擦在手臂时，我的皮肤有一种温暖的感觉。这个字除了上面的意思，还可以指造成轰动的人或事。我们可以说 The new sensation on the basketball court was an exchange student from Europe. 在篮球场上造成轰动的那一位球员是一位从欧洲来的交换学生。另外，在 sensation 后面的字尾加上 al 可以成为它的形容词 sensational， 指引起轰动的、感官的。举例来说 The show was nothing more than sensational stories about famous people. 这出戏讲的不外乎是造成轰动的名人轶事。最后我们看到一个动词 overwhelm， 表示使难以承受，压力使人喘不过气来。举例来说 Rachel was overwhelmed with a lot of work recently. Rachel 最近被庞大的工作量压得喘不过气来。另外补充一个相关片语 be overwhelmed by or with 表示受不了点点点，感到难以招架， 不慎点点点，所以可以说The emergency workers were overwhelmed by the water and couldn't keep the river from flooding the town. 救援人员难以控制大水，无法阻止河水淹没这座城市。
And welcome back. So now we're going to move on to the next part of our lesson. And this next part is on winter. And it says here, winter heralds the end of the year when the weather turns icy and things slowly begin to die. So winter is the time of the year when things begin to turn cold and everything slows down and becomes sluggish, and it's a big turn from spring and autumn. So it's the time when things truly slow down and begin to die. And winter heralds this time of the year, the end of the year. And to herald something means to announce something or to be a sign that something is going to happen soon. Now, this word, it's an interesting word because I think it was used more often in the past, or it's used more in the context of talking about history, about something that happened in ancient times. For instance, you could say something like Queen Elizabeth heralded in a golden period of British history, because when Queen Elizabeth I, not the second, so we're talking about the British Queen of the 16th century. She was a beloved queen, and when she was Queen of Britain, a lot of cultural rebirth happened with literature and music and culture. And so she heralded in a new period of British history.
There you go. She announced its coming, or she's kind of a symbol for its coming in that way. But here, when we're talking about winter heralding the end of the year, yeah, what we're saying is that, it's in the air and everybody knows it, okay? Winter heralds the end of the year. We know it's coming because that winter weather has come and everything is dying. Yes, winter heralds the end of the year when the weather turns icy and things slowly begin to die. Yeah, if we talk about the dead of winter, by the way, we are referring to the middle of the season when it's especially dark and cold, or when it's especially cold and dark, I should say. Yes, living in Chicago, January and February are terribly cold months. That is the dead of winter. There is no sign of spring at all. It's icy, frigid, cold, windy. There's snow everywhere. It might snow every night. Oh my goodness. It's not a fun time of year to live in Chicago at all during the dead of winter.
That's true. I was living close to Chicago a few years ago. I lived in south of Chicago for maybe 4 or 5 years. And I remember during the dead of winter, the days were really short. It got dark at around 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, and everything was still, and the winds were really harsh and freezing, and it was not a good time of the year to be in. But in any case, that's the dead of winter, and we must go through it every year. And for many people, being in the dead of winter might make them feel like they're snowed under. And at such time, perhaps you feel snowed under, it says here. So what does that mean?
Well, imagine tasks being piled on top of you like heavy snow. And you'll remember that this phrase means the sensation of being overwhelmed with work. By the way, you can be snowed in. Let's say you're in your house, you go to sleep one night and you wake up the next day and you can't get out of your house because there's snow everywhere. This actually happens. You can be snowed in. And similarly, you can be snowed under, i.e., oh my goodness, there's so much work. It's like I can't even move. Yeah, you're snowed in. You can't get out of your house. If you're snowed under, you are overwhelmed with work. You're paralyzed with so much work. By the way, if you're overwhelmed by something, you have too much of that thing, and you just can't do anything about it. You might be temporarily stunned if something overwhelms you. You might be overwhelmed by emotion, let's say, and you're paralyzed by that. You don't know what to do. You have too much of something at one time, and yes, you don't know how to react.
That's right. So to be overwhelmed could be a positive thing or a negative thing. You could be overwhelmed by the show of love that your family shows you when it's your birthday and they give you a big surprise birthday party. Then you're overwhelmed by the love that that's in the room. You can also be overwhelmed by the amount of work or amount of homework that is given to you. So overwhelm can be used in both situations. And here, sensation basically means a feeling, and this feeling could be in your body or it could be in your mind. And you can say something like, I have a strange sensation that something bad is going to happen today. So it's a strange feeling that something bad is going to happen today.
There you go. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our article on idioms having to do with the seasons.
There are many more idioms that are connected with the seasons and weather, but we don't want to make you feel snowed under, so we'll leave those for another time. In the meantime, we hope you're enjoying your spring chicken years.
And welcome back. So we have been looking at idioms that have to do with seasons, with winter, spring, summer, and fall. And we don't have to only talk about these particular idioms because there are so many more. There are many more idioms that are connected with the seasons and weather, but we don't want to make you feel snowed under, so we'll leave those for another time. So if you have time, you can go research or look into other idioms that have to do with the weather, with the seasons, and you'll find that there are many more, and knowing these idioms will enrich your English knowledge.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we hope you're enjoying your spring chicken years. Yeah, we hope you're enjoying your youth. That's what they're saying here. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break. But don't worry, don't fret. The Chinese teacher is on her way.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文一开始提到 As we roll around to fall, also known as autumn, the year has grown older and the idioms reflect that. 当我们迎接秋天 fall 也称作 autumn 的到来的时候呢，这一年渐渐过去了，而这些惯用语就反映出这个现象。好，这边出现两个文法重点。第一个 roll around。好，先来看 roll 这个字当动词，它表示滚动、转动。那片语 roll around 就是用来描述规律性的事物它再次到来或是重新开始。我们常常用 roll around 来指某个时间、某个事件或是某个节日它再次发生、再次到来。像是你可以说 He's going to visit his grandparents when Chinese New Year rolls around. 当农历新年到来时，他会去看他爷爷奶奶。好，第二个重点是Also known as， 这表示又称为、又叫做，常常会把它简称为 AKA。 好，那这个用法就是表达说某人或某事物它有其他的名字或是头衔，或者是有另外一个广为人知的说法。像我们就可以在张惠妹的后面接 AKA 阿妹，来表达张惠妹又称为阿妹这样子。好，那我们顺便补充一下，你也可以用 otherwise known as 来表达相同语义，表达说又称作什么什么。这时候 otherwise 是当副词来表达以别种方式。好，接着课文第二部分最后提到，想象工作堆在你的头上就犹如这个厚重的雪一样，那你就会记得说 snowed under 这个片语表示被工作压得喘不过气来了。好，这边用到单字 overwhelm， 我们来看它的字首字根。over 这个字首呢，可以表达太或是过于或是超过或是在什么什么上方的意思。那有这个字首的单字通常会有这种超过啊、过度的语义。像在 overwhelm 这个字当中， over 表示过度， whelm 表示翻转过来。同学们有在电视上看过摔跤吗？你可能有看过他本来是要摔别人，结果这个力量过头，反而变成自己被压制了。好，从这边来联想当翻转的力量过大而被压倒，这样也许可以想到说 overwhelm 它有这种使什么难以承受、喘不过气，尤其是像这种压力情绪让人招架不住的情况。好，顺便补充几个有相同字首的单字，像是 overwork。overwork 它的字首 over 表示超过，那么 work 是工作，合在一起 overwork 就表示工作过度、过劳了。好，再看下一个 overhead， 字首 over 表示在什么什么上方，那么 head 是头，合在一起 overhead 就表示头顶上的、上方的。好，再来还有一个 overlook， 字首 over 在上方， Look 是观看，在上方观看，从上方观看是什么意思呢？当你在俯瞰眺望远方的时候，你可能会因为顾着看着远方的东西而没有注意到近的东西，所以 overlook 它其实有忽略、忽视的语义。好啊，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Reflect. Grades don't necessarily reflect how smart or hardworking someone is. Retire. Elsie retired at age 45 because she had saved up enough money to be able to stop working. Herald. Economists believe the rising stock prices herald an economic recovery. Sensation. As I walked into the room, I had the strange sensation that I had been there before. Overwhelm. The amount of work Kobe had to catch up on after taking a few sick days completely overwhelmed him.
Discussion Starter starts now!
All right, everyone. Now it's time for our discussion starter. Hey, Helen, why do you think so many season idioms are connected to the time in people's lives?
It makes sense to make this connection because life is about birth and death, just like the seasons.
There you go. I think the seasons are connected to age because our lives, not unlike the seasons, are very cyclical, okay? That's the way that we make connections in our daily life. And yes, as we grow old and notice the seasons and how they cycle through the year, we're also going to notice how we go through patterns in our life as well. We start young and we feel great and vigorous and full of life that feels like spring, and then maybe we have the prime of our lives, like those years after college when we get a job and we are in our prime earning years up until middle age. Okay, that could be the summer of our life. And then, hey, we want to retire and we grow old. That's like fall and winter. So everything has a cycle, and as humans, as sentient creatures, we can't fail to notice this. Okay, everyone. With that, today's article is now complete. But, as always, we sure hope that you guys have enjoyed reading along with us. Anyways, I'm Jeff.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.